Hello, this is the book analysis of Carry On, Mr. Bowditch. We're going to start by discussing the author. Her name is Jean Lee Latham. She was born in 1902 and wrote this in 1955, which would make her in her 50s. She had been writing since she was very young and was a prolific writer and had very much developed her talents by the time she wrote Carry On, Mr. Bowditch is actually, I think, how you should pronounce it, and I will constantly mess that up. She won the John Newbery Medal for this book, which is Distinguished Contribution to Children's Literature, in 1956, the year after she wrote it, and it is very well written. To write it, she did her research. She traveled to Boston and Salem, and she looked around and researched everything involved. She met with the descendants of Nat Bowditch and talked with them. And then she also studied mathematics, astronomy, sailing, and oceanography, which all come into play in this book. The other thing that you want to kind of think about with discussing thinking about and analyzing a book is when she wrote it was 1955. And I have looked and cannot find much information on why did she write it. And sometimes those are very interesting stories. So just historically, I know that was the start of the civil rights movement was that year. I don't know if that had any influence on, why or, maybe some of the themes in this book. But that's something you always want to think about is when the book was actually written. Okay? The other thing to think about before you even begin a book is the title always is carefully chosen. Carry On, Mr. Bowditch. This book's setting is the late 1770s during the Revolutionary War. And it's about a poor family, and in particular, a poor child as he grows up and matures into manhood. It is going to be a coming of age kind of a tale. And the theme for Nat in this book is to carry on, meaning keep going, persevere, that sort of thing. So keep that title in mind as you read the book. The next thing is this a biography or is it fiction? Well, it's called fictionalized biography, if that makes it any more confusing. And that means that the facts are the facts. When it says Nat married so-and-so, he married that person. When it says somebody, for instance, died falling down the stairs, I found that one hard to believe. Sure enough, if you look in the records, that is what is written as the cause of death for that person. So you've got it. It is biographically accurate. However, the stories of how he fell in love and married his wife are a bit embellished to make the story. Okay. So as a thinking activity, I would like you to interview your grandparents or another older adult and really dig into their childhood and how they got married and what their jobs were. And as you do this, obviously you need to take some notes. Look through it, looking particularly for the character of the person you interviewed and others in their lives, and a theme. What was this older person really trying to convey as they told this stories, and what seemed to be maybe what the Lord had taught them throughout their life over and over, were they kind of going in, so I kept going, like Nat was a Carry On, Mr. Bowditch. And then I want you to write a biographical sketch, or at least tell what you learned to somebody else. And I just want you to really carefully note how that when we tell a story, even if it's a true story, there is some spin on the themes and the characterization and everything, the settings that we add to it. We need to be careful about that because the same exact circumstances told by two separate point of views can come out very, very different sounding. And so I want you to be aware of, how that how that works in storytelling and in book writing, and try it some on your own and use it for good, godly purposes to promote what is good and pure in things, and not to dwell on the other side. Okay,